Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone. Massive Media welcomes you back to this very afternoon analysis to look at the activities of the Southeast governors and the OHANAEZES and Igbo, especially on issues concerning the Igbo nation as a whole. We will make comparative analysis and watch out to see if the DNA of Igbo slave trade merchants sponsored by British slave traders between 1676 to 1950, if this is replicating in Igbo governors and the Ohanaeze of the present day. These are what we are going to look at if their activities is comparatively the same as those who sold Igbos between this very period. Igbo slave merchants used by British slave traders, and we look at various ways to compare them with what the present day governors of Southeast are displaying at national politics of Nigeria. Before we continue, we thank you, especially our listeners, our subscribers, both old and the new. We thank you very much, and that shows you are listening to our programs. We thank you so much. We ask those who have not subscribed to subscribe and share the videos. As you do so, God will bless you and enrich you mightily. In this analysis, you will watch out to see how the politicians from the Igbo land extraction view themselves, how they express themselves among themselves. You will also have a historical knowledge of prominent Igbo daughters and men, especially Dr. Adele Afibo, a prominent Igbo historian, and again, another illustrious daughter, Adobe Tresia Umahi, a novelist, her own experience in her write-ups about the activities of Igbos in destroying their own brothers and sisters, using them as a source of income, and not minding the problems, the sufferings, the issues surrounding their own families. All they needed was their own advantages. We will listen to them, as you also will listen on how the Igbo governors and the OHANAEZES are replicating the footsteps of Igbo slave traders and merchants who sold millions of Igbos to the Western world. The Igbo governors are at war with those who are agitating for a change of attitude, for a change of economic management of Igbo nation, provisions of infrastructural services, as well as good health services and educational facilities to enable good environment for the students or the youth to learn in a better environment and improve on their educational pursuits. From the whole analysis, one will be able to conclude that the tyranny of the present-day governors are not different from the tyranny of Igbo slave merchants of the 16th, 17th, and 18th century. In continuation, many Igbo illustrious sons have reviewed the activities of both the slave traders and their British counterparts, the disadvantages and the consequences. Indeed, in the event of what is happening today in Igbo nation, in Igbo land, one is compelled to look at the past and also compare them with the present. As a result, we decided to review the work of Professor Adele Afibo on the issue of slavery in Igbo land, as well as the review of an Igbo illustrious daughter, Miss Adaobi Tresia Nwobani. These illustrations have given clue on a tyrannical establishment the present-day politicians in Igbo land are adopting, and some being supported by even the Ohanaeze Igbo that's supposed to protect the interest of all the Igbo citizens, have given rise to this very program this afternoon. Indeed, Professor Adele Afibo and Adaobi Tresia Nwobani provided a strong evidence to prove that what these governors and the Igbo leaders of today are doing is a replication of the activities of these Igbo British slave merchants and their counterparts, the British slave traders who whisked away millions of Igbo citizens to the Western world. The Igbo daughter provided a clue of how many millions the population estimate of Igbos taken away from what is called today Imo State, Anambra State, Ebonyi State, Enugu State, and Abia State, including those of Delta State, Rivers State, Bayelsa State, Akwa Ibom State, Cross River State, and Edo State. However, we are limiting this on the 5 Igbo states. Adaobi, in her research, indicated that about 1.5 million Igbo slaves were shipped across Atlantic Ocean between the 15th and 19th centuries. Question is, which port, through which port or outlet did these 1.5 million people or over shipped out of the territory of Igbo land? Accordingly, it was through the Calabar port in the birth of Biafra. According to Adaobi's report, it was called Bight of Bonny, making it one of the largest points of exit during the transatlantic slave trade. However, the writer noted a point of correction. She discovered it was Bight of Biafra. She must have grown up at the time General Yakubu Gowon and Obasanjo, in collaboration with Britain, changed this from Bight of Biafra to Bight of Bonny. This is the system in Nigeria. The question is, what has Igbos or even the Niger Delta states done to correct this impression, to change it from the new name to original name for which it was known? It is widely noted that in Igbo land, slavery has been going on, buying and the selling of human beings have been going on even before the arrival of the Europeans. People became slaves as punishment for crime, payment for debts, or prisoners of war. Like present-day generation, if one gets money irrespective of the way, the method he get enriched, he will be praised. In the old days, this applied as well. Any successful sale of adults was considered an exploit for which a man was held by praise singers, akin to exploits in wrestling, war, or hunting animals like the lions. The question is, when the slave trade began and the interaction between the Igbo slave merchants and the British buyers, what were they offering? What was the bargain? British raiders provided guns, mirrors, gin, and other exotic goods in exchange for human beings. and this increased the activities of the local slave merchants who hunted out their brothers and sisters for sale. This is replicating today in various activities of the governors. They formed many vigilante groups. Anyone who is rich form his own vigilante group for his own private activities. But at the end of the day, it will be lured into those whom they do not want to operate within the system, who oppose their activities, ended up in acting as kidnappers, killings, extortion of money from the citizens, as well as the major question is, how do the politicians themselves look at each other? In one of the publications in Vanguard of 15th June 2022, an article stated, Igbo leaders at war over politics of betrayal. They have been noted as those who betray one another. In it, there were some expressions made by these politicians. One, I will read according to what is written in Vanguard of 15th June 2022. First, it is stated, selfish interest, love of money, frightening, unacceptable by Anambra community leader. The next was Southeast governors selling Igbo interest for piece of bread, Abia monarch. The third, betrayal from our leaders and delegates is very shameful, Governor Umahi. Our governors ready to sell everybody for a pot of porridge, Eze Kalo Obu. Then we have leave political power, capture the economic power, Amechi advises. Day of reckoning awaits saboteurs of Igbo interest. Sam Ohabowa stated, we are not happy. We are not happy. We are sad. Engineer Iwanyo. Igbo will not remain political slaves to other zones. Mood. Igbos need critical self-reflection on their political strategies. Dan. Indeed, this shows that something is wrong with Igbo political elites and the Ohanaeze management. I repeat, there is something wrong with Igbo politicians and the socio-cultural organization of Ndibo. Their inabilities is responsible for the denial of economic development in Igbo land, social and educational development in Igbo land, infrastructural development in Igbo land, because they prefer to take the money into their own private pocket than to use it to develop the entire nation. And they have been noted for this. That is where anything that happens, they run to the military to use the military to suppress the people and then load it to another person or to a group that is fighting to relieve the people from the suffrage, from the domination of this political class that arose through the Babangida's era. They are known as Babangida's political errand boys because their money, their popularity were subject to Babangida's corruption era. That is where they rooted and where they became the leaders of Igbo nation.
Give us first an idea of how it went.
Well, it was a successful meeting because any person in Igbo land attended that meeting. Governors, serving governors attended the meeting, former ministers, former senators, serving members of the National Assembly, traditional rulers, So many illustrious Igbo sons and daughters attended that meeting because the security situation in the southeast has taken a dangerous dimension, and no person feels safe anymore. And we started asking questions whether we are still a part of this country. Because one major objective of a state, the state has a social contract with the people. The people have surrendered their rights, their fundamental human rights, to the state. In return, the state is supposed to protect the lives and property of the people. But that doesn't seem to be the case in the southeast. And we are wondering whether southeast is still part of this country. We look for government nowhere. The youth are agitating, so many agitation because of age-long exclusion of the people of Southeast in governance, age-long deprivation of amenities in the Southeast. You go to Southeast, you can't identify any federal government presence, and you see almost every kilometer, sometimes half kilometer, you see police. It's like, our place is like a conquered territory, a police state. And as
a result of what?
Well, as a result of insecurity.
It wasn't so some years ago.
Well, as a result of negligence, as a result of intimidation, as a result of federal government not doing what they're supposed to do. The reaction is what they take. The reaction is what those who felt Igbos were conquered normally take, but they don't take the main issue, the causes. The causes are neglect. Whether you assume that the youth are rioting, the youth are forming any group or separation group, it is rooted because everywhere is neglected. And the leaders themselves knew it, but the problem they have, they don't know what to answer when questions are being raised on what they're supposed to react on. Like what is happening here now. You see how the question is being thrown and how it was diverted.
So it wasn't like that before.
So as a result of what?
An average Igbo man usually look forward to going home. It doesn't matter where he lives. But the reverse seems to be the case now. To the extent that now some Igbos bury.
Indeed, this is supposed not to be the answer. If you look at the question is, why is it becoming difficult for Igbos to travel home? It is because the Fulanis, the government of Buhari, made it impossible for the Igbos or Igbo nations to be developed. He allowed the Fulanis to roll into Nigeria to carry out the mission which was designed by Ibrahim Babangida in 1986. These are the problems the Igbos are missing. They don't go to the areas, they know the problems, but they want to divert it so that they will not be victims of what they said. But those who are saying it categorically clear, they themselves turn back to ask them, why do you say it? You don't have to say, you just have to keep quiet. Let it be within us. Then how will it be within you and you solve the problem? That is the question. And that is why this professor is moving out of the question and going to give another explanation. The explanation is that the federal government of Buhari saw Igbos as their enemies. The dot in the circle, they are fighting the war against the Igbos. They have never forgotten anything that concerned the civil war, anything that made Ahmadu Bello to be killed. They don't remember the massacre they did in Delta State, indeed in Delta State. I've forgotten the name of the place where Nzogu came from. So that is the problem. They denied Igbos the trillions of naira loan they got to develop railways all over North.
and the Yoruba land. They neglected the Igbos. They neglected to develop everywhere. And he's finding it difficult to tell them that this is the reason. So these are the problems, and those who say it became enemy to this very elders forum. That is where the issue lies. They are holding Nnamdi for saying, you are not developing our place, we have to leave this place. The governor says we want to be the president. Now they said, Buhari said he should go to court. Nnamdi was in court and he was discharged and acquitted. Then it was the same governors who want to be president that turned back to say, hold him, it will be a political dialogue and no longer court issue. So they don't tell them the actual truth. They divert these truths and turn to a different thing. That is the problem that is happening in Igbo land. We will continue with this program. Continue.
Every Igbo man, every Nigerian knows who is who, despite all the activities, how egoism they are pulling themselves. They are what they were before they entered into politics. They use the same ammunition, the same system to move, to intimidate the people of Igbo land. Listen to this very interview from the Igbo leader during the time they are asking for the head of Ekpa for activating sit at home or prolonging sit at home. But their responsibility, the time they're supposed to use to go and call the military, they're supposed to use it to organize themselves and meet Buhari, meet Tinubu, meet those who collaborated in abducting Nnamdi and themselves who engineered and ignited it. They're supposed to meet themselves and resolve the issue and not pursuing the young boy who is saying what you are doing is wrong. He is, I repeat, a victim of your failure, a victim of what you have failed to do and refuse to do it. But need money for your privacy, for your own private homes, and not for the public. See the roads in Imo State. See the roads in Abia State. See the roads in Akwa Ibom, rivers, Cross River, all federal institutions. Are they functioning? These are the questions. Are the seaports functioning? These are the questions Nnamdi asked, and they said you should activate and ensure that they function. You said, who are you to tell us they should not function? We have trailers, we have everything to go to Lagos and bring it. You collaborate with those who are making sure that the war never end or never ended in Igbo land. That is what you are doing, and you're supposed to recount yourself and come down and beg the ordinary Igbo nation youths, beg the old women, old fathers to forgive you rather than activating military to come and ravage everywhere in Igbo land in pursuit of those you think that are asking you to do the right thing. We use this opportunity to congratulate former governor of Ebonyi State, Chief Umahi, for being nominated as the deputy chief whip of APC in the Senate. He came in to vie for the presidency and ended up in being deputy chief whip of APC. These are the positions they never expected, but the position that made them to sell Nnamdi Kanu to try to kill him was the presidency. At the end, all of them fell. Obi, who is acting and trying to elevate himself with his party to ensure that the right thing is done as well, an Igbo man, they fail to support him. They only support themselves on what they can gain. The support of former governor of Ebonyi State, Umahi, to Akpabio was to give him assistant chief whip. Just like you go to the normal church, Protestant church, then you get usher, assistant usher. That is what Umahi got after destroying the entire state, destroying the Igbo nation. He was rewarded with deputy Chief Whip of APC. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of this very program. We ask you to subscribe, share, and give us thumb up, and also leave your comment. We will come back to you. May God bless you as you listen. You note what you don't know. We have knowledge together, and we study together. We review things that is happening that is causing tension in Igbo land. For the moment, we are on Igbo nation. We are going to go to other areas, but till then, bye.